How's it going?
Not bad.
Cats flying everywhere. How you doing, buddy? Okay. Got him all hyped up. I was playing with him with the evil red dot. So he's fit to climb the walls. And hello. How's it going?
We're doing all right.
Excellent. And howdy, Neff. How goes the new neck of the world?
Good evening.
Howdy, y'all.
Hey, Chris. How's it going, man?
All right, how are you?
Oh, I would say can't complain, but I know Neff would scold me. So
Well, you can complain. Wouldn't do you any good, but
okay, you and Neff both would scold me. There you go.
It's not
I
can.
can barely hear Neff.
How about now?
That's better.
Okay. I used more volume.
Project the voice. Project.
It's like when people say can I versus may I. So you may complain.
Yeah, but there isn't a conjunction for that. I mayn't complain. I can't complain. I mayn't complain. That's a hard one. Hey there, Neon. How goes?
Hello.
Well, we are all kind of wandering in here.
Oh, I do appreciate you fixing my character sheet. It was not very user friendly and got infectious diseases on there twice.
Yeah, I noticed that. I mean, it's probably just you want to make another selection for that at some point.
They do
Yeah, I
red like that.
don't know where it came from, so
Yeah, no,
figuring out where to pull it from is the next problem.
yeah, and again, this is early days, so no sweat. We're all just trying to figure this thing out. I've been reviewing these 2d20 rules, and I think they're overly complex, but they have some familiar themes. Particularly if you're from Traveler. I know that you and Chris hadn't played Traveler with us. You played, and Neon as well. But the Traveler experience is going to integrate well with how this thing works. So it's not that bad.
I downloaded that Star Trek Adventures Quick Start Guide. Is that what we're using?
Yeah, I mean, I've sent a link to everyone with access to the full set of PDFs that I've got, which is the full rule book and some resources and all that nonsense. Most importantly, we found an online character generator, which really streamlines the process. And let's see, put all that in the Discord, I think, but let me make it available here.
Okay, I see it. I had scrolled past the character generator part.
Oh, okay, you got it. You're good. And again, don't sweat not having everything set in stone. It's no big deal. Howdy there, see? How
Well, I'm
goes?
a stonemason.
Well, something's set in stone, but it may not be right. Oh, excellent background. There you go. Very appropriate. Now you are muted there, see? You're probably fiddling around. All right. Oh, we almost have just lacking a couple.
Looks like a Battlestar exit tunnel.
It does actually, yeah. Now that you put it, but you remember what that is? It's the engineering off of the original Enterprise.
I saw the originals once each, and
Really?
it was a little rough by the time I was watching it because a lot of those ideas were commonplace now. I'm sure they were like groundbreaking when they happened, right?
Yeah.
But watching it decades later, it was just like, yeah, I know,
Yeah. Cell phones. Yeah. Tablets. We get it. It's all good. Right.
Yeah, pretty much. Some of it was very corny, and it was amusing.
Well, good news. We're going to throw back to the original series here and in all its glory. So that means that same tech and the tropes that went with it. But yeah, that's the engineering section off of a Constitution class. You'd see Scotty hanging out at that panel there to C's right, and he'd constantly being complaining about his barons.
Oh, I
So,
figured it was probably universal enough. I could get away with it.
Yeah, it is actually. When you see the engineering that we've kind of thrown together for the Carson here, yeah, it works well. So how goes in your world there? See?
Oh, fairly well. Been a pretty hectic week, and Krista's off at a Halloween party, so
Yeah, there you go.
had kind of a quiet evening.
Well, hopefully we will change that, but only to a minor degree.
So damn Klingons again, ain't it?
Them damn Klingons, that's right. So do me a favor. Oh, howdy, Stephen. What was Krista's character's name? She had come up with a really
Oh,
beautiful name, and I'm trying to remember what it is.
I,
She. It's no big deal if you don't remember now, because she's not going to appear.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's.
Yeah.
I haven't actually even run her a sheet, but because first thing that drew my attention was Landru, but I think it's Landra.
Landra.
I will text her and see if I can get that verified.
Okay.
Howdy. What do our badges look like?
Okay. Hold on a second. In there. So you're talking about the your backdrop there. So okay, but before I answer that, how much Trekism? I mean, we could go all day and night with Trek trivia, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a specific answer to that, but before I branch off and start waxing trivia, how much trivia do you guys know about Trek? How much about Trek do you know?
It's been a while for the original series. I've only watched a couple of episodes of Enterprise, but most of the rest I've watched.
Okay.
I'm an uber geek.
Yeah, we run the gamut then. Okay. Nobody knows nothing, but some are rusty. Got it.
Engineering
So what?
Swirly.
That's right. So to answer Stephen's question, so back in the day, this is not the case in the future series, starting with Next Generation forward. Every ship had their own emblem.
Mm-hmm.
So you had the emblem that you commonly associate with Starfleet actually was the Enterprise's emblem, but only for the Enterprise back in the original series. And it later became Starfleet's emblem, in homage to honor the Enterprise and all its accomplishments. So yeah, there is theoretically a symbol, that you have in your badge on your uniforms that represents the Carson uniquely. And I actually have something I had in mind for that. But I hadn't. I didn't actually expect anybody to ask. So points to Stephen.
It's very amusing because I was flipping through the core book and I just got to the section with uniform insignia.
Right, exactly, and the geekdom has gone into some detail about it. It's even in the whole canon non-canon nonsense, well, whatever. But it's even in canon that they did that, because in the original shows they had different emblems on the uniforms for the wrecked ships that the Enterprise kept coming across. So
meanwhile, I'm over here thinking about Badgie from Lower Decks.
Yeah. Let's see what we got here. Alondra Alara. Yeah, that was a great name. I love that one. All right, let me see if I can find this one in a reasonable amount of time while we're waiting for Mr. Pegg. There it is. Okay, yeah.
I want to make sure I had that spelling right.
Okay. Although I think the feline Aslan might take offense to it.
Meow.
Yeah. Oh, come on. Don't do that. Go over here.
It's a treat box, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a picture of catnip. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to do some work on it, make it gold and take out the backdrop. But let's see. this.
Yeah, I see.
And there's a particular reason for that. Oh, hey, Miss Bag, how's it going? Yeah, you're eating. It's okay. You can wave. It's okay.
I was typing something.
Great. It looks like everybody's here. You bunch of Karachi squares, tic-tac-toe right there. All right. So would somebody share the screen? I won't be doing the sharing tonight, doing GM stuff. And we'll get rolling with this thing. But yeah, he is volunteering. I see the hand motion there. Okay. So let's see. A couple of warnings. I'm very sound positive, meaning there's going to be sounds, but I haven't necessarily normalized the volume for everybody. So sometimes they may be too loud, and if so, let me know. If you muted Roll20, you won't hear the sounds. It's your choice. All right. And with that, we shall begin. I warned you. Okay. By the way, was that too loud or not? Because that's kind of
Not
the.
for me.
All right. Nobody's complaining. You're either deafened and can't or don't know the question, or it's just fine. All right. So here we go. The year is 2257, not quite 100 years after the establishment of the Federation, which will, the 100-year anniversary, by the way, will happen in 2261. An event much being looked forward to, particularly after the last 2 years. So if anyone's seen the recent series Discovery, the first season of Discovery dealt with a 2-year-long war with the Klingons that began in 2255. That war ended 6 months ago, and it was devastating. Oh my gosh. Hold on here. I've got, yeah, I see. I'm going to have to minimize. We got so many players. And it was devastating. I'll do it in a minute. To the point that Starfleet is not the massive, ubiquitous, unending entity that people rather take for granted in the later shows. If you remember Deep Space Nine, you had fleets of hundreds of ships, stuff like that. Well, Starfleet in total might be a few hundred ships. That was before the war. After the war, about a third of Starfleet's ships were destroyed or rendered inoperable. Again, hundreds of ships, tens of thousands of casualties, and many more hundreds of thousands of casualties on planets and colonies and stations. It was a devastating war. And it ended abruptly, mysteriously for most people. At the time that it seemed that things were at their worst, the Klingons actually had taken over Starbase 1. Very close to Sol, very close to Earth. They were within knife's reach. And then they sued for peace. No one figured that out. No one figured the Klingons, given as aggressive as they are, would have been capable of doing that. But that's what happened. You folks in your various positions are not privy to the events of the Discovery series. You don't know why the war ended as suddenly as it did. But it did. And now you're in this cleanup phase. So I need to fix something on my end first before we begin. Let's see. Trying to find it. Looking for that thing that you can minimize the profiles because there are so many of them. They're all over the place. Let's see.
That is under settings, audio and video display.
Thank you. Okay. So let's do names only. Yeah, that's much better. Okay. Now I can actually see the screen. All right. So you folks left from Starbase 21 about 2 weeks ago aboard the USS Excalibur. The Excalibur is a Constitution class, one of few. She was not directly involved in the fighting. Happened to be on the other side of the Federation doing other duties because there's, you know, stuff going down everywhere. Excalibur is headed to a region adjacent to the former border with the Klingon that was particularly hard hit. What happened here is, and I can show you, move your map. All right, I'll explain what's going on here in a minute. So if you direct yourself a bit down and on the left-hand side, you will see a Federation symbol with an X through it. Yeah, down and on the left. Down, 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 down. There you go. Further. That's perfect. That's the former location of Starbase 19. At the height of the war, the Klingons wiped out 3 Federation starbases, 22, 19, and 12, by sneaking a cloaked raider in behind a ship that knew the route through the defenses and the minefields and such, and then detonating their core, kamikaze style, right there in the starbase. In the case of 19, it destroyed 6 starships and killed about 12,000 people, just boom, in the blink of an eye. The Carson, the ship that you're about to take over, was moored to Starbase 19. It was there. She was moored to the outside, so the Starbase itself shielded the scout from the worst of the blast, but still, it did incredible damage to the Carson. Destroyed the bridge and all the way down to deck 3. Killed the entire command crew, and managed to injure most of the remaining crew. But nonetheless, the Carson managed to survive that immolation, but she was knocked out of the war. Now we are 2 years later, and if you go back up, and I'm pinging a system, Starfleet, now that the war is over, has decided to rebuild Starbase 19 and try to spread Starfleet's influence anew through this sector. In its absence, in the wake of the war, with almost no starships to patrol the area, even after the ceasefire and the treaty, it's fallen into a bit of anarchy and chaos. Opportunists, raiders, pirates, they've been messing up the local economy pretty good. But the major thrust right now, as you understand it, is the reconstruction of Starbase 19 at a new location in the Benel system. All right. So this is Benel 5, I believe. Yep, it is. It's a Class O world, an ocean world, a bit on the light side. It would be a nice place to visit if it weren't for some hostile microorganisms that pretty much take over the place and have prevented other life from forming. So there's no ground installation on Benel, just some science installations to study the local life and geology and oceanography. But above Benel is the future site of Starbase 19, a large collection of transports, Starfleet tugs, and are gathered around a makeshift station created by the Corps of Engineers called Gander Station. Gander Station, let me start throwing up some more pictures at you. Let's see here. There we go. Looks like that. And that might make more sense if you also saw this picture. These guys, the Timberley class tugs. They're a bit smaller than the Carson, but they are powerhouses in that they can do that. They haul standard containers. Each container has a greater volume than a heavy cruiser, and it can be configured for a variety of purposes. It can haul people, it can haul bulk goods, it can haul station modules. Those can be converted into station modules, and that's what you're seeing with Gander Station. This is what Starfleet does whenever they need to build a station in a hurry. They put a bunch of those modules together and around a hub and call it a space station. So that's kind of the headquarters for the effort to rebuild Starbase 19. The Starbase rebuilding itself is going apace. As you approach within the Excalibur, you can see this hub of activity over what will be the future Starbase 19, but it's hard to make out that it is a Starbase yet. It's just this framework that vaguely looks like something like a large space station. Eventually, the Starbase will fill into it. But you're more interested in, I'm throwing more pictures at you, this guy. So there are a couple of these in nearby Gander Station, mobile repair facilities. Basically, think dry docks for starships. They can move under their own power. When they do, they set themselves up as repair and construction facilities for large space-going vessels. And sure enough, in one of these, the Henry Thornton is her ship, Carson. Now, you're seeing this from various places on the Excalibur as the Excalibur approaches. Now, we'll start with, okay, Cat, what are you doing, buddy? Cat's right there in the way. You want to hang out or plot the screen? You're a good boy. Okay. All right. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah. We'll start with Dirk Belmont. So you're on the bridge of the Excalibur. You see this ship, the dry dock and the Carson within, approaching as the Excalibur pulls into orbit. The captain of the Excalibur is, where'd he go? Okay, well, I thought I had that picture in here. A fellow by the name of Anton Harris. Now, in the 2 weeks that you've been on Excalibur, Harris has made an effort to reach out to you, get to know you, get to know the rest of your command crew, because you are going to be working with him in trying to secure the sector that's Starbase 19 used to control. There are a few other starships in the area, destroyers, but your understanding is that tactical control of this effort to patrol the area is Harris's. So your perception of him is that he's a very serious fellow, but he's got an understated sense of humor. Every once in a while, it'll crack out there. He might even crack a smile. Well, this is one of those rare instances that he's actually smiling and says, well, there she is. None the worse for wear. I've seen some of the battle damage reports. Well, did you read, let's see, Commander Damon's report concerning the repairs on the Carson? And of course you have, it's your ship. When he talks about Commander Damon, he's referring to the Starfleet engineer that was put in charge of reassembling what was left of the Carson. Well, they've done an amazing job with her. You can hardly tell she's been through what she's been through.
You can always tell.
He nods. Yeah. The scars in the ship might look healed, but the scars in the crew, well, I don't envy you what you're about to have to do. Starfleet isn't exactly scraping the bottom of the barrel here, but we just don't have the resources that we once did. a third of the fleet impacted, and so many people down. They're sending you a green crew. Great talent, but still green. And then a few veterans that have been through hell. It's going to be quite the job just to get those people to talk to each other.
Well, that's the fun thing about being in a spaceship out in the middle of space. I don't have anyone else to talk to but each other.
Yeah, he smiles and nods. Well, I imagine you're going to want to beam aboard and take command as soon as we arrive.
That was the plan.
All right. Well, he gets up and hands the con over to his number one and says, "Let me walk you down to the transporter room." So you get in the turbo lift, down you go. Now, the rest of you folks have already gathered in the transporter room. Same idea, orders to beam aboard the Carson, it's about to happen. When you get a hail from Gander Station. And Harris looks up. "I'll take it here. This is Harris." And the voice on the other end sounds angry and agitated. "Harris, you were supposed to report to me the instant you got to the system." And Harris kind of rolls his eyes at Belmont. "Yes, Commodore. I do regret that. I just wanted to drop the crew of the Carson off before you and the crew of the Carson report to me immediately, the command crew of the Carson. We need to clean the air before you get fixated on what your mission is around here." "Yes, sir, we'll be there." And Harris likes just again, "Well, I guess your triumphant arrival will have to wait a moment."
It always does.
The rest of you gathered around the transporter room. You hear the good news. You all are going to get to beam over to that hodgepodge of containers before you go over to the Carson. By the way, just so you know which era of Star Trek you're in, do I have the full one, or let's see here. I guess we'll go with this one. So you step on those transporter pads. No wonder McCoy hated those things. It actually sounds like you're being torn to shreds. Yeah, sitting it down a moment. So, welcome to Gander Station. Now, a rather haggard-looking ensign grabs the rest of the command crew and stuffs you in to a lounge area, kind of on the right, kind of pinging you, right? And then leads Harris and Belmont off to meet with Commodore Manners. Here we go. Showed everybody. So, Commodore Virginia Manners, Starfleet Corps of Engineering. She's the ranking officer in the sector, in charge of the reconstruction of Starbase 19. And she looks like she breathes fire and eats children. I mean, she's just got that angry look about her. And you're not really quite sure why. You've just met the woman. Why the hell is she mad at you? But when you walk in there, you and Harris, you see that there's an additional individual in the room, a commander, who you guess by the gold uniform is probably the CEO of one of the ships nearby. Tellarite. Manners doesn't waste any time. And she turns on Harris and says, "All right, I don't care what Starfleet told you about patrolling this sector. The most important thing that we need to get established is this starbase. There is nothing more important to establishing control of the region than this facility now here. And we're already 8 months behind schedule because of the war." Harris nods at her. Well, none of us could have foreseen the war's length or its sudden ending, but I don't believe that you're accurate, Commodore, in saying that the most important thing is rebuilding the starbase. I would argue the most important thing is bringing order to the colonies that remain here that have been devastated by that war. And she says, no, we can't proceed to even do that in an organized fashion until we have a base to do it from. Look at you. You're just one heavy cruiser, a scout, and 3 destroyers. What can you possibly do with this entire sector until we get more resources for you? With all due respect, Commodore, and this goes just back and forth, is pretty intense. Harris is kind of holding firm on the concept that patrol, he needs to get out there and make sure, bring order to the area. And Manners says, no, we need to do everything we can to build the damn starbase. Meanwhile, the Tellarite looks over at you. I don't think we've met. I'm Roll. I'm in command of one of the tugs.
Commander Belmont, I'll be taking over for the scout.
Oh, the Carson. Well, that was an amazing story of how she's been rebuilt and restructured. Are you two not paying attention? Sorry, Commodore. Yeah, the Commodore notices your side conversation and pounces. But it finally comes to her directing her ire back at Harris. And Roll says, I think you're in here because of me, actually. I'm about to head off to a mining colony with supplies and to pick up some refined metals for the starbase construction. And we've had numerous attacks on shipping in the past few weeks. The Commodore's all up in ire about it, and Starfleet hasn't sent anything but the Excalibur and now you to get the Carson up and running. I think she's going to want you to babysit me.
I kind of look at her and go, we can't really babysit. We can overwatch, but that's it.
Well, it's not as though my little tug doesn't have teeth, but even the Carson's phasers are more than would punch a hole in my tin can. About that time, Harris and Manners seem to have come to a detente. Manners says, all right, very well. You have free reign with the Excalibur, but I want to make sure that the destroyers stay in range of any major operation necessary to rebuild the starbase. And Harris, very well, Commodore. Now Manners turns to you, Belmont. Commander Belmont. And tradition, he hasn't taken command yet, so he's still a commander. He's not a captain yet. Once you take command of the Carson, Ross' prediction comes true. I want you to escort, let's see, find the name of the ship. Get that out of the way. Yeah, the Tom Brace. To the mining colony of Blackstone. It's about 8 light years away, about a week's journey. Make sure that nothing approaches the Brace, and defend her if necessary. And there you have it. Harris just looks over at you, shrugs, looks back at the Commodore. So any reaction from you to that?
Aye, aye.
That's apparently what she wanted to hear. She just nods curtly at you. Now, there's more talk, but let's go over to the command crew. So we have the senior officers, the future senior officers of the Carson, all gathered together in this lounge, stuffed in there, wondering what the hell's going on. So before we get started with roles, do you folks have anything to say or do? You've actually met each other. You've been on the Excalibur for a couple of weeks, so you've had a chance to actually say hello. That's not the same as knowing each other by any means.
Well, who are Clock and Dawa?
I'm Clock.
Clock is the communications officer, and Dawa is E. It's going to be chief of security.
Now
That's
is
what he's
Clock
carrying.
a nickname?
Arietti Clock is actually her name. Cleaner is her nickname.
I didn't know if you had like a nickname Clock because you're always on time, or maybe you're always late. I don't know.
Now, Clocks are actually named. Cleaner's her nickname because she's a black belt in judo and she finds it handy when people get handsy.
Uh-huh.
And Dawa has a running running minor issue that it's actually Lieutenant Erdine. Dawa's his first name.
Oh, okay. So it's one of those things. I'll correct that later.
Would you prefer us to have our last names on our character models?
That's what I was doing for everybody. Because most times you'd be referred to by your last name.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah, okay, there you go. I got it. You've modified something. Very good. So let's see. Let's get on with the rolling. All right. Start with everybody in that room. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, we'll start with you, E. Why don't you pull up your character sheet, and I'll kind of try to demonstrate how this thing works. So the system, 2d20. Short version is whenever you need to accomplish a task, I figure out how hard it is, and then you have attributes and disciplines that you can combine to roll against it. So what I'm trying to have you do now is to listen in to things that are going in outside in the hall. So we'll kind of call it an insight and security roll. So you would click on insight.
Okay. So hold on a second. I use the pop-out character sheet, so it won't show.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Insight. Okay.
Yeah,
Click on insight.
And then click on security.
Okay.
All right. Now, normally you roll 2d6. And if you look to the right of the skills, you'll see that there's a task roll and a number through 1 through 5, right?
Yes.
Well, by default, it's 2. That's cool. But if you're rolling with advantage, say, then you might get more dice to roll with, 3 or 4 or 5. If you're rolling with disadvantage, you might get fewer dice to roll with. And right now, we'll call it a standard roll, just 2. And then you click on the Star Trek symbol, and we'll see what numbers you
For
get.
the task roll?
Yep. All right. Yeah, everybody do it. Do that same thing. You follow along. So what you're getting is a number of successes based on your roll. You're not seeing the actual roll, but how many quote unquote successes you got. A success is defined by you added the algorithm added those two numbers together. In Erdine's case, it's 8 and 5 for a total of 13. So that target 13 is what you had to roll under a d20 with in order to get a 1 success. And if you roll a 1, it counts as a critical success. You get 2. So most routine tasks only require a single success of the 2 d20s that you roll. And as you can see, Aslin got it. Erdine got it. Ash did not get any successes. Calvin got it. Miki got it. And Chris got it. So everybody except for Ashlyn noticed this. But that's kind of how the rolls go. That's routine stuff, right? And if something's harder, then I might tell you that you get fewer rolls against it. But there are various ways that you can get additional rolls, and we'll talk about that later. But that was just a quick overview of task rolls. So what do you get for all that? Well, everybody except for Ashlyn, for Dr. Mallory, hears an argument in the hall. Heated. Voices raised. So now it's your turn to decide what you want to do about it, or just sit here in your lounge playing checkers.
I'll sip my
Hold on a
tea as I
second.
listen in.
Adjust my tricorder so I get a better sound.
Okay. So creative. I like it. So let's see how that works. So let me go back to somebody's character. All right. So Neff, you're just going to sip your tea and listen in. So again, we'll say that's a insight security roll, but you have a difficulty here. It's muffled by the by being a wall on the door there. So you see, you're only going to get to roll 1 die. So change that number 2 next to task roll to 1 and roll again. Let's see if you get it. You did. Okay. And now the tricorder thing. For you, it's going to be control and engineering. And you get to do just a number 2. Normal 2d20. And now. So Quinn, you're not picking anything up reasonably. It's like, come on, you silly thing. What's going on? But meanwhile, the biologist, you hear these clipped guttural sounds. Scared the cat. Coming from outside. And that's clearly not Federation standard.
I do believe Calvin would be concerned about that type of talk due to recent events.
Yeah.
It probably raise an alarm.
So the biologist says, hey, do you actually say the word that you think it might be? Or
Yes.
that sounds like Klingons.
Do I recognize the language?
You didn't hear it, or you didn't actually take any additional action. Do you want to try to listen in too?
Yeah, I was just kind of listening through.
Just like he did, change that number 2 to number 1. You only get to roll 1 die because of the complication. And we'll see what you get.
Just linguistics.
You got it.
You hear it all.
Yeah, it's Klingon. That's definitely Klingon. And they're pissed, whoever's yelling. You hear 3 distinct voices.
Aren't they always?
One female and 2 male. Yeah, they are all pretty much. All right. So, Quinn, we'll give you one more chance with your tricorder. Because once you hear that, you might think, okay. Let's see if there are any Klingons around here. Did we lose Steven?
So I'm here. What was that?
Roll something.
Roll something. I rolled something.
Okay, that works. Yes, as a matter of fact, your tricorder shows 2 Klingons and a human in this little alcove just outside the lounge.
I let people know. Get up and walk to the door.
Okay. Looks like folks are going to see. Irdine, Quinn, anybody else headed out there?
Anyone in this merry band security?
Yeah.
That would be me.
Definitely not me.
Well, we're
I
not
believe
on
I'll
board
be
ship.
at you as
yet.
I asked that.
Since we're not on board ship yet, we haven't been assigned sidearms. Just so happens I actually have a piece here in this bag.
We'll give you the benefit of having standard phasers because it's still hostile around.
Okay.
But
I heft my coffee cup menacingly.
But yes, Bricklin has more than a phaser.
Yeah.
He's pretty.
Colt 45 Peacemaker. It's about 500 years old, but yeah, he's got it.
Okay. So it looks like that was going in. All right. Let me see. You can close this. And I'm kind of needing that character sheet in front of me to see this stuff. 2. Let's pop it out. Okay. So, daring and security there. Erdine? with a task roll of 2D, or if you think any of your. Now, here's where you can add dice.
Daring and security.
Yeah, you have focuses. You'll notice that you have all those focuses, right? So if you think, if you can prove that one of those focuses applies to the action you're about to take, then we'll give you an extra die. You can bump that 2 up to a 3. And that applies to every task that everybody does. You know, if you're doing something and you think, hey, that falls in line with one of these focuses for my character, then okay, great. We can add to that to your dice.
Focuses. All right. Well, these are Klingons,
Yeah.
and you know we know how Klingons. The Klingons do not respect negotiation except from a position of strength.
Okay.
So basically, what I want to do is walk out there with my phaser drawn, and essentially, you know,
Negotiate with your phaser.
can I help you, negotiate them with them? Can I help you, gentlemen?
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and bump it up to 3, and we'll see how that goes.
And you said
So this would be daring and security.
daring and security.
Okay. So that looks like 2 successes. Okay. And I'll do this real. Hopefully we'll total those. No, it just did it once and multiply it by 2. Okay. Oh, that works. Okay. So here's what happens. Now the door is open. Dawa's outside. And so is Brooklyn. And I imagine Quinn is as well.
Yeah.
All right. So you do that, and this one, it just looks like a standard warrior type, approaches menacingly, draws his weapon, actually a dagger. He does not have a disruptor on him. But around the corner, you see these 2 appear. Now let's let you take a look at the one. There he is. So the one warrior that approaches you is, "What business is it of yours? Stand back, Federation." But the other one doesn't speak. This is what he looks like. That fellow turns to the human. The human is not wearing a Starfleet uniform. She looks like a heavy worlder. You know, she's a big woman, kind of heavy set. Looks angrily at Croft, but then nervously at you, Dawa. And that one Klingon with all the decorations tells her, "We'll talk of this later." You bet we will. And then she takes off around the corner. Croft, the ambassador, whose name you don't know yet, comes and steps beside his man and puts a hand on his shoulder and says, "Be at ease. We are not fighting today."
And if he holsters his weapon, if he puts his dagger away, I'll put mine away.
Reluctantly, yes, the other Klingon warrior does.
And
As you will.
And I'll follow suit reluctantly as well.
Now, you don't really need a roll for this, but those of you in the hall can see that the fellow on the left is fairly young. He's the typical Klingon, angry Klingon that you've all come to know and love. But the guy on the right, he's been around the block or 2. He seems to know the score, and he did not draw a weapon during that whole thing. Not on the human that they were arguing with, and certainly not on you. Although he has a similar dagger to the younger warrior, but it stayed in its sheath the whole time. He looks over at you. You lead this group. You happen to be the ranking officer of the ones that he can see.
I'm the senior officer here, yes.
Then you are brave. I respect that. We did not mean to disrupt your leisure. We will be taking our leave. And he turns to leave.
I don't know what the situation is here. I don't know if there's supposed to be Klingons on this base
That's
or
right.
not.
You don't at all. But he seems to be, like, hey, yeah, I'm supposed to be here, and it's perfectly natural. He doesn't introduce himself. He just come. He tells the other one, and they walk away.
So I will come on. Do everybody in the hall and
Yeah. You're trying to.
show's over. And then as soon as I'm inside the room, I will go to the comm panel in the room and, report that we just had an encounter with 2 Klingons and, report what we just had.
Got it. So they ask for you to describe the Klingons, and when you do, he says, "Oh, that's them." You hear from them, station security. That's Ambassador Krav. He is supposed to be here, but he's not supposed to be arguing with people. Let me let the Commodore know, and she'll be able to take care of it. But thanks for the report.
And
I
of course,
hear-
the woman was not in a Starfleet uniform. It was, give a description of her as well.
Yeah, they note it, and off they go. But you don't want to follow them. You're just going to do that report and hang tight.
That's my intention.
How about the rest of you?
Hey, Dawa, was the female speaking Klingon?
Dawa doesn't know, but Clock does. Yes. All 3 of them were.
Quinn has empathy. Does that mean she's an empath?
Yeah. That'll come up, as appropriate, but yeah.
So is she picking up anything?
Well, let's see.
Does she have empathy or empathy?
We'll call that Insight Command, and give you 2. I guess actually the way to do that would have been as part of another role. We would have added a die.
Ah, right.
Yeah. But let's see what you did. Okay. No, you didn't.
19.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, good observation there from the biologist, and Clock puts that together. Yeah, all 3 of them, all 3 voices were speaking Klingon. And Clock, to your ears, they were doing so pretty fluently.
Not a skill many humans have.
Not a skill many humans have. So it's about that time back in the torture room. I mean, the meat briefing room. Manners gets that call from security. He what? And she immediately just meeting's over. Storms out. All right. And Harris right on your heel because, hey, you can't have a couple of Klingons roaming around the place. What's going on? And that's about the time that Ambassador Krav and his Klingon escort there arrive at the meeting room. Let's see. Do we have Mr. Pegg still? Looks like we lost Mr. Pegg. Okay.
He's in World 20, but not in the meeting.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to replay this for him whenever he shows up. But the Manners confronts Krav about what was just reported. And Krav says, I was just having a discussion with business partners. You are here to represent the interests of your empire, yes, but I demand that you keep it civil, and I demand to be praised of any business dealings that might have impact on our efforts here. Krav shakes his head and says, the business of the empire is none of your concern. Just be glad that you aren't at my knees. Manners purses his lips, but Harris, ambassador, that doesn't sound particularly peaceful. Human, we were at your throat. If not for the Targs and the High Council, you would all be slaves of the Empire now. Be thankful I don't know why we aren't. And with that, he and his henchmen wander off. The thing about it is that what he just said is true. That at the worst point of the war, the Klingons were very much in striking distance of the capital. No one knows why they stopped. And apparently, from that encounter, neither do the Klingons. Not all of them. Okay. Well, let's give Mr. Pegg a moment to catch up, because this would be the moment that he takes command of the ship. So any confusion so far over this crazy 2D20 system?
It's a lot to learn, yeah.
I think the system as presented, as written, is overly complicated, actually. But if you digest it down to things that we're already familiar with, like advantage and disadvantage from 5e, or using attributes and skills combined for roles, like from Traveler, then it's not so bad. There's a part of the system that I really do like, and I hope that we have an opportunity to use it before we're done for the evening. That has to do with momentum and threat. And what'll happen is, as you make these rolls, if you do a task roll that you exceed the target number of successes, that adds a point to your group's momentum. And from momentum, you can alter the course of the game. If you don't like a roll, you can, if you think the odds are against you, you can use momentum, spend it to add dice to a roll you're about to make. And the thing about that is it's a common pool. Everybody in the group can draw from it or add to it. But there's threat. As things happen that go against you, then your threat increases, and that's something that I can draw from to increase the effectiveness of the bad guys. So I kind of like that mechanic. Alrighty. Well, let's just go ahead and skip over the stuff then. All right. The show must go on.
He's dropped out of the roll 20 too.
All right. Yeah. So he has some issue or other. All right. Well, after all that's done, and you're reunited with Belmont, who would probably give you a briefing of his encounter with Commodore Manners, to the point that we've got our first mission. Now, I can't speak for Belmont. I don't know enough about him to say whether he would tell you more about the nature of how that mission was generated. And I'm pretty sure all of you have opinions about, okay, what business does a scout have escorting anything? That's not what a scout's for. You've got one phaser, but it's just one. Now, it's not holding back. It's the same potency as one phaser bank off of one of the cruisers. But the cruisers have multiple phaser banks in multiple arcs. They're much more capable of defending themselves and inflicting damage. And at the same time, the scout is smaller, just as the one weapon system, no photon torpedoes, and lighter shields. So really, your best weapon is your ability to detect things at range, which is unprecedented, and we'll get to that in a moment. All right, let's go ahead and do that. So from Gant,
you know where our forces are stretched thin, so obviously we all have to pitch in where we can.
Yeah. So y'all beam over to the Carson proper.
I guess one gun's better than none.
All right, there we go. There's so many of you, it takes it definitely better than none. It takes a couple of trips, but if you look at the bottom, this is the transporter room of the Carson. And as you step off, you see a number of people there waiting to greet you. There is an Andorian lieutenant commander, and let's see if it works. Like so. And yeah, you know, a really handy character portrait type generator is Star Trek Online. So here you go. That's where manners came from as well. Yeah, the image isn't, you know, like super high res, but you get the idea. This is Athesia. Athesia introduces herself as Athesia. Everybody just calls me ZZ. She's going to be the executive officer. Then over here, you'll see that there is a Tellarite. This gentleman right here.
It would help my immersion if you could do 4K though.
I know it. I know it. Senior Chief Luce. But the thing is that when the TOS was made, 4K wasn't the thing, you know. So I could put snow and blurs in here, and it'd just be truer to the original. You had to adjust your rabbit ears on your computer in order to get a better picture.
Yeah, just 4,000 pixels in total.
That's right. 4K.
Have you seen the high def? You've seen some of the high def ones. It's cringy, painful to watch because you can tell. You know, it's like that's not Kirk's hair color for his stunt double. That's not Spock's ears for his stunt double. It's
Yeah, I think I told y'all I watched Fifth Element on Blu-ray, and you could see all the makeup from the aliens and stuff like that. It's pretty bad.
And not seeing the world clearly is a cinematic effect. So the Tellarite is Senior Chief Luce, and Bricklin, you know who that is. That is your senior engineering chief, also chief of the boat. He'll be the senior non-commissioned officer on the ship. And then to Luce's right is, and I don't know that I have a portrait for this one. Yeah, this is Lieutenant Commander DeMont, the engineer that's been in charge of the refitting of the Carson. And it's DeMont, who's been acting captain, you know, while the Carson's been under refit, that comes forward and says to Belmont, who's missing his, there he is. Hello, welcome back. Wow, the two of you.
I honestly don't know what happened.
Well, it's all good. You're back in time for the transfer of command, and that's kind of the important thing.
Yep, you're late to your change of command. Half the people waiting in the auditorium passed out. It's terrible.
I'm just trying to make a good impression.
That's right. So, a quick recap of this: you've been aboard the Carson proper, and in the transporter room, you're met by several folks. This one, the one in gold, is your executive officer to be. You haven't actually met her in person, but she arrived previously, and she's been trying to get things in order. That's her job. The captain thinks big picture, and the XO takes care of the details. So there she is. Everybody calls her ZZ. Athesia is her first name. Then you have this gentleman, who is the senior NCO on the Carson, Senior Chief Luce, Tellarites. He's an engineering chief, be working for Brooklyn. And then you have this individual, and she walks forward. She's been the acting captain. She's the Starfleet engineer that's been in charge of the refit. And so with a big smile, she comes forward. Everybody's kind of stepping off the dais and shakes Belmont's hand and says, Commander Belmont, I'm ready to be relieved.
I walk up and go, you were hereby relieved.
Welcome to the Carson, Captain.
Kind of go. Right of the much rejoicing. Yay.
Yeah, there wasn't a big ceremony, because it turns out that DeMont says, I just heard that you're leaving today. I'm not sure you were ready for that, sir.
I'll try arguing that with the commandant.
You mean oh, clever. I saw what you did there. That was Dumont in character. She nods and says, yes, the Commodore can be demanding. I'll have a chat with your chief engineer, and she looks around the crew of people kind of filing off. Lieutenant Brooklyn? Yeah, you, me, and Chief Lewis, we have a lot of talking to do in order to meet your deadline of getting the ship out of here in about 12 hours.
Yeah, tell me where I got to push.
She nods at that. Captain, if you'll excuse us, we'll get to it immediately.
I just got you're dismissed.
So that's Luce and Dumont and Brooklyn. They disappear. Then ZZ comes forward. Now, again, you haven't met ZZ, but you've spoken to her. She's been here for a few days. She arrived on one of the other transports. And she says, I have to agree with Commander Dumont. We're pushing it. I mean, the crew, as it stands, has not had an opportunity to even muster to stations. They haven't familiarized themselves with the ship yet.
And I just kind of take it as it is, just lay it out frankly. We're being voluntold to go do this. It's not my decision, not my choice.
And she just gives you, the sigh of the long suffering. Aye, Captain. We'll make it happen. So at that point, she goes around and introduces herself to the rest of you who are going to be the future department heads. I'm Lieutenant Commander, and I forgive you if you can't pronounce my last name. ZZ is fine. And some may seem that disrespectful. I don't, because I'd rather we be quick in our conversations rather than stumbling over pronunciation and get shot at and destroyed. So, Quinn, you're our navigator.
Right.
Erdine, security. Let's see, Melry, chief medical officer.
Yep.
Gonzalez, chief science officer. And Clock, communications.
That'd be me.
Well, you've heard the situation. If I were you, I'd get to your stations and don't even worry about trying to unpack yet. And then if you'll follow me, I'll show you all to the bridge. Tim, thanks. She calls over her shoulder to the other Andorian that's manning the transporter controls. Yes, sir. So, yes, Chief Tim. All right. So Brooklyn is off to engineering. Let's do that first. Just zoom out a bit. All right, let's see what we have going on here. I had something for this. Oh, yeah, here we go. So in the upper left, you'll see main engineering. And if you look at Chris's image, yeah, that is what you see if you were standing in this doorway looking back. Now, as you were coming down here, main engineering is on deck 6 of the Carson. Spans vertically quite a bit. Decks 6 and 7 are the kind of the heavyweight decks when it comes to engineering. But the rest of engineering goes down, all the way down to the nacelle that's at deck 13. Unlike the Constitution class, which has its matter-antimatter mixed chamber kind of right there in main engineering, and the secondary hull, it's down there right on top of the nacelle. It's far away from the room that you're in right now. I mean, literally kind of 60, 70 vertical feet down in order to get to the mixed chamber. Where you're at is the primary power intermix area. And if you go a little bit down, you'll see this is the meat of the impulse engines. I mean, really right there. That's those things right there. That's that constant hum. Batteries, machinery, Jeffries tubes, everything that you love as an engineer places to get lost in the ship, this is where you go. You have a crew that's hanging out there. The deck officer, before your duty officer that was on duty when you arrived, is this gentleman right here. That would be Saragot, an ensign, who comes up to you and with that Vulcan disdain, it says, "I am pleased to meet you, Lieutenant," as though he's anything but.
Right.
But Chief Luce and the doesn't seem to care, and Tellarites are famously emotional, irritable, so he seems to just brush it off. Dumont has been giving you a constant rundown on all the ship systems, where the problems are, and there are numerous problems. She, like any other engineer, wished she had another several weeks to tighten the bolts, but she took the ship out on she and the engineers took the ship out on a shakedown last week, and it performed as expected, except for some power transfer issues. And she's documented those for you to review and address later on, in the fullness of time. So this is your home base, Brooklyn, Main Engineering. That's for you. All right. Let's see. And we'll get you to make a roll here in a minute. Now, yeah, hold on. That one's adjust that one a bit. So here you go. So this is for Neff, your character. Unfortunately, the token didn't update when you changed the name. Dr. Mallory and Erdine. This is sickbay and security's armory and the brig, very close to each other.
Okay.
Down on deck 7. It's a scout ship. It's small. It's compact. So things are put together. So this is the CMO's office, like so. And you have one other doctor that's on your staff. There's just a gentleman over here.
Okay.
His specialty, he's a surgeon. So he can fill that in. But you're the senior medical officer. You're actually a lieutenant commander for other reference, which is not unusual for docs. They tend to be more specialized, higher rank. Now you have a few nurses and medical technicians scattered around, and then labs. And that's where Neff's character is, hanging out in one of the science labs that's on deck 7. The idea of having all this stuff on deck 7 is that it's really the best protected part of the ship. Astern of you is main engineering, parts of it. But where you're at, you're surrounded by water storage and heavy armor and cargo bays. So that's why sick bay and facilities like this tend to be right here, kind of in the middle center part of the ship. Now for Erdine, you've got the brig, 2 cells with force fields, constant guards, and then of note, the armory. It's over here. The armory, and these 2 security folks do have type 3 phasers. You may change that if you wish, but that's how Commander Dumont had the security arrangement set up. She wanted to make sure that these areas were secure because things are not peaceful in this neck of the woods, in this region of space. This is one of your chiefs, your chief petty officers. This gentleman over here, he runs the armory. All right, Smythe. So that'll be a notable for you later on. Okay.
Well,
And then
we'll leave that for that. We'll leave it as is for the time being.
Yeah. And then we have the bridge. Let me see here. And actually, we'll get everybody up on the bridge. Yeah. Because, I'm just going to do that. And there you are. Bridge of the Carson. So a couple of things to note about the Bridge of the Carson. It's not the original bridge. The original bridge and the top 3 decks of the ship were ripped off in the antimatter explosion that destroyed the original Starbase 19. So the bridge has actually been salvaged from an older retired cruiser. It's smaller than the Constitution's bridge, but probably larger than the original bridge used to be. That's fine, because part of the upgrades of the Carson was to install much more advanced computer systems, sensor systems, probe systems, which require more computer horsepower to drive. In fact, the Carson is one of the first Hermes classes to have an M1 computer system. Those of you Trek geeks may remember the M5. Well, there had to be an M's 1 through 4. So here you are. Familiar sort of positions. In fact, it kind of reminiscence of the Constitution class. You got clock over here, communications, science. This area that Neff's occupying is an auxiliary station to be used for multiple things. The engineering repeater station. It's ops. That's where your XO is going to hang out most of the time. Weapons and security. And then you have that's your helmsman, who is a Vulcan by the name of Saneth. And then you have Quinn hanging out here on navigation, literally on the navigation station. The gentleman behind Belmont, Vector, is a Yeoman Vector. That's the basically the ship's office manager, guy that keeps the files in order. And then, just like you had down on sick bay and around engineering, you've got a security guard with the Type 3 phaser right there at the turbolift. Last thing you want to point out is the plaque. Everybody noticed this when you walked in. Just hover over that and read the description of the plaque. Now, Commander Dumont explains that the captain of the Thornton Taylor, or rather the Henry Thornton, had decided that rather than create a brand new plaque, they would salvage the old plaque from the original Carson and just enough retouch so that it would fit in the slot, as it were. So that plaque there, it was taken from the blasted remains of the bridge of the original Carson. Same plaque. So that's kind of a thing in Starfleet, with plaques and ship plaques and continuity. Every time you walk on the bridge, you glance over at that thing and you're reminded about what the ship's been through.
Calvin will scan it with a tricorder on occasion to see how much radiation is coming off of it.
Acceptable levels. It is radioactive to some degree, yes. Okay. So with that, let's get some rolls. Bricklin, how about control engineering with let's see, and this is to determine the state of the ship, spaceworthiness of the ship. Do you have any focuses that you think might apply to that?
Well, if he rolls all zeros, will he be like, yeah, we're good to go?
Pretty much.
Well, I've got one, systems engineer.
Okay. Then you add a die, so you get to roll 3 dice for your task roll.
All right.
And roll it, and let's see what you get. Yeah, we're good to go.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And
How the hell should I know? I just got here.
And then we'll go kind of around the crew. Again, part of this is kind of, is the ship actually ready to go, and also familiarizing ourselves with this crazy system. So let's see, con and control from Quinn.
On and control.
And this is,
Go.
yeah, engineering says go. This is to establish that the navigation systems are operating and
I have sensor imaging. Can I add it?
not for sensor, not yet. This doesn't apply to sensors.
Here's a 2-die roll.
Okay. Yep. And that was one more than you needed. So here's how that works. You'll see in the upper left, this is where I'm going to kind of keep track of our threat and momentum meters. Move them around, moving them around, whatever. Let's see, how about there? So whenever you roll one of these tasks and you get more successes than you need, and you just did, you only needed to roll one success, then I'm going to change this so that we add a point of momentum. Oop, like that. And that can be spent by you guys later on for various purposes. All right. So let's see, Erdine, let's how about a security control? And you're checking tactical systems. See if any of your focuses apply to that.
Shipboard tactical systems.
All right. And do a 3D and we'll see what you get. Huh. All right. So go up here and add 2 more to this. All right. And let's see here. Gonzalez checking the ship sensors. So see if you have anything that applies to, and for Quinn had something, but so this will be your science and control. I don't know if poor Neon's been following through on these character sheets or not.
I don't have access to my character sheet.
Well, that's a hell of a thing. Let's fix that. All right. Hector. You should. Can be controlled by Chris and Logan.
All I see is bio and info.
Matt, I gave you his sheet late. It may not have gotten entered into there. I didn't do it.
Well, I did.
Okay.
I mean, I entered all this stuff in, to kind of.
My sheet came the last, so.
Yeah, I did that one this morning. I wonder. Let's see if you're logged in as somebody else, maybe. Let's see, we have Logan.
In the D&D game, he was logged in as Logan M twice.
Yeah. Calvin. Let's do it this way. All right. How about now?
I got it now.
I just said it to all players. So. All right. And you're doing science and control. You're checking out the ship's sensor systems. Do you have any focuses that might apply to that?
Probably the first time he's laid eyes on it. The focuses are on the right, about halfway. And the attributes and disciplines that you need to roll from are top left. You just click on each. And
I'm clicking,
you go over to,
I'm clicking, but it won't do anything.
well, it won't yet. You got to pick out your discipline and your attribute first and see if there's a focus that would apply. You got anything else that applies other than those two?
No.
All right. Then where it says task skill, task roll, you click on that little triangle.
There we go. Perfect. So, yep. Looks to you like the sensor systems are up and running and the computer is operational. So clock, same deal. Yours is going to be engineering control, checking communication systems.
I've got communications and diplomacy. I don't know if that's going to give me the focus or not.
It does. Communications does. So you set your task roll to 3, and you can roll it. See what you get. All right. That's good enough.
I can talk to them. They can talk to me.
So Neff, you're going to be checking the life sciences, life support. So we'll say that we'll go ahead and give you a science and control. And any focuses that apply there, you increases your number of dice.
I have xenobiology if that helps me with this read.
They're all aliens. Looking around.
Exactly.
Go ahead. Increase it to 3. That it's. I don't think that's actually. Oh my gosh! Look at that. Yeah, you
I'm
think all of
breathing,
the.
so I'm going to say we've got life support at the moment.
You get an endorsement from Clock, so yeah, it's good.
Because we're still plugged into the damn station.
Which is also true. All right, so we're gonna add a couple more. This is a nice way to preload the momentum bar here. Seriously, I did that. Cat. Okay, cat's right in the way. How you doing, bud?
He's man in science.
He sure is. Okay, whatever you got is what you're gonna get because the cat is making it difficult.
That looks right.
Okay, so Belmont, everybody has checked in, and despite dire warnings, it seems that the ship is spaceworthy. The Commander Dumont asks, "Do you want me to stay aboard, or do you think that that you're good as you are?" We have lots of other projects to work on, so I'm not going to cry if you tell me to get lost.
I go, no, you can handle your other projects. Thank you for. You're just
Captain,
You don't have to die along with the rest of it.
go now. Why you still
Save yourself.
Oh no! so she flees, and then yeah, you're ready to go.
Fly, fly.
Yeah, all decks report
Fly,
in.
you fool.
Yeah, run, you fools. That the Carson is ready to go.
All right. Say who was the was it Saneth?
Yeah, Saneth.
Yeah.
Vulcan.
Well, Elsmith Saneth, slowly release us and take her out.
So, sure enough, the Carson leaves space dock, or at least the mobile repair facility. All right.
All of a sudden, everything goes to red alert and engines go down. I'm standing there like Johnny going, whoops.
Oh, yeah.
The console just sparks and just goes.
Airplane
say
like
now.
Johnny, like, just kidding.
I'd just like to say, Neff, you're in charge of life support. I feel like you should be a bit more motivational. I'm not feeling supported in my life choices at this moment.
I tend to take a more holistic view of the universe. The universe could live off of your decaying body very well. Could be a good thing.
Could we get a new life support officer? Could we vote on that?
Too late.
Can I see that whole list?
The decision's been made.
It is fate.
Can I see that whole list?
Today is a good day to die.
Okay, here we go. So, welcome to your sector map. Now, you guys are here at Benel, and I wanted to kind of point out what you're seeing. So, you'll notice that the starships have a couple of circles around them. And E, would you kind of zoom in? Let me see if you see both of those circles. I don't think you're seeing all the circles. Okay, so let's make it so. I guess it's probably just as well. So why aren't you seeing all the circles? Probably have to turn the aura on for each one. Yep, that's what it is. Ah, there you go. Okay. Let me do it with just a couple of them. So you get the idea. I'll sort it all out later. And okay. So the Excalibur and the Carson have a sensor range, long range sensor range of 6 light years in any direction through the magic of subspace. Faster than light communications, travel, and sensors. A ship like the Tug, on the other hand, not so much. Let me show you that one. So let's see, that would be 1, 2. Yeah, I think the colors were like that. So, yeah, the Tug has a sensor range of 2 light years, and yeah, that's all she got. If you'll go over to the right a bit, you can't see it. Dang it! I just saved it. All right. Come here, you. And you. Good deal. Okay, there we go. Probably need to change the colors. Off to the right, you'll see one of the destroyers, the von Steuben. And let me get its numbers up. Steuben is a little bit better than the tug. 3 light years. So this is the point of having the Scout. The Scout has the same sort of powerful sensors as a heavy cruiser. I mean, you and the Excalibur have the same sensor rating, whereas the other warships, not so much. They're not meant for that duty. So they have less capable computer systems, less capable sensors. That's that. The tug, even worse, and civilian ships, even worse. That's part one. Part two is, and the tug is not a good example of this because the colors are off. But you see there's an inner circle around each one of them. There's a slightly darker or brighter shade of white there. That represents the maximum distance the ship can travel at emergency warp. If it were going as fast as it could, that's how far it could go in a day. And at maximum warp, that's pretty much as far as you could go in a day. You can't drive the engines all that much. So that's just to give you an idea of the legs that some of these ships have. The Tom Brace can't go that far at maximum warp. You know, she can get warp 7 at maximum. She cruises at 4 or 5. So that means if you're going to be escorting the Brace to this place, that's not what I wanted. I want the ruler. Thank you. Down here, 6 light years. You're going to have to be going at the Brace's speed. So it's going to take you about a week to make this trip. About a light year a day, a little bit under. Warp factor 4.5, 5. If you look around the map, you see that there's a lot of territory here. And once you start spreading out, these other ships, these other starships, the Excalibur and the destroyers, they're going to be days away from you if anything happens. So, yeah, that's the danger. Okay. So, Quinn, roll and navigation roll. And that would be, let's see, con and control. And any focuses that you have to modify that.
Who was that?
You?
Oh, okay, con control. For what? Sensors?
Navigation.
Navigation. All right, I have astro navigation. They'll give me 3.
Mm-hmm. And I have no idea what you rolled because the cat's right there in front of me.
0, 1, 0.
Okay. So 2. Sorry, it's binary. That works. So you guys take off. And like I say, it's going to take about a week with the Brants in tow there. And by the way, she has a full load, 3 of those big containers. So it's a pretty impressive sight to see one of those tugs doing their thing. At this point, you've had a few days to begin to get the feel of the ship. Engineering, you're trying to work through the to-do list, which is extensive. Everybody else is trying to kind of settle into their roles and establish some sort of life on ship. Get to know this new green crew. It's a challenge, to be sure. And in fact, to that point, Captain, let's have a command and insight roll from you. And this is about getting the crew to work with each other. Yeah, it's going to be hard. It's not going to happen overnight.
I made mention that Texas has the best barbecue in front of the Tellerites. That was not good.
I did not say you were wasting oxygen. I said you weren't putting out enough carbon dioxide.
Run faster. Yeah, the Life Sciences Department has instigated a mandatory run around the ship drill. So there
It's
are
not
some,
it's not a racket. You can't take his water.
there are some teething issues, and it's going to take a while to work through it. It's not that this is the people are at each other's throats or anything, except for the barbecue comment.
Well, that's just stupid because it's obviously Memphis.
It's all on how you rub your meat, son.
So that's how Brooklyn became the first person to visit the brig. Dean's just shaking his head and saying, I'll let you out of here in a minute.
Yeah. Sexual harassment will not be tolerated. Stop telling people how they rub their meat.
I can't tell me if Porky asked.
He's
So,
just
let's
jealous
see.
because we got bigger briskets in Memphis than they do in Texas.
Gonzalez. Let's get a sensor roll out of you at this point. So this will be control and science. And probably just a 2. Okay. Everything looks cool. You note that a few light years to starboard is a large nebula. Wherein. It has multiple, it's just star-forming nebula, several active stars within it. The core of the nebula are these binary Class B supergiants. Not visible from Earth because of the nebula gases, but as you move around the nebula, it's kind of an interesting astronomical event to actually see them become more visible as you fly through warp space. But there are also a few other stars, including a white dwarf, notably here, a past nova event. But you don't see anything aside from that curiosity out of the ordinary as you pull into Plaxton about a week later. All righty. Okay. Let's see how we want to do this. Let's grab these two. Make sure I haven't already put you up there someplace. Yeah, I already have. Okay. Yeah, I started you down way in the lower left. But yeah, look around that map a little bit and I'll kind of explain what you're seeing in just a moment. Moving ships around. All right. Yeah, you and the tug arrive. So here's what you're seeing. Plaxstone is has a single Class G star right there in the middle. And I bet you're not seeing some of this stuff. Yeah, hold on, let me see what's going on here. Oh, I see why. That should be there. Okay. And everything else is good. All right. 3 planets. A rocky wasteland, Class L, that's in a orbit of a debris ring, fairly close to the parent star. That's actually where the primary mining operation is. Plaxstone 1. Let's see here. All right, that guy. The green symbol there indicates that U clock are picking up normal radio chatter from there. Next one out is Plaxstone 2, which is a fairly small gas giant, numerous moons, and itself has an interesting, from an astronomical perspective, oblong-shaped debris ring around it, quite distance away from it. It's the debris ring where there are several smaller asteroid facilities mining asteroids. None of the moons have yet had any sort of infiltration because of the difficulty of getting there. And then up top you have yet another gas giant. It's Plaxton 3. Again, dozens of moons, and several of these moons do have mining outfits on them. There's a large amount of shipping traffic that's traveling sublight between the facilities. Two notable large freighters that are bringing ore from the outer facilities to Plaxton 1, where you know that there's a ship refinery. Basically, they took a large ship that had refining capability and landed it on the surface of the planet. So it both mines ore and refines it. Refines ore brought to them by these large transports from the other facilities. And then Starfleet comes along with these containers afterwards, bringing parts and taking refined metal with them for the Starbase construction effort. But something does kind of stand out. So, Gonzalez, let's get another science control roll from you. Okay. Well, that's good enough to notice this thing. There's a small asteroid field, probably where a small planetoid failed to coalesce. It's been charted. I mean, if you look at Quinn can look at the navigational charts, and it's there, it's known. What's not seen before is it's not supposed to have this energy discharge stuff going on in it, and that's what you're seeing. There's an unusual energy pattern coalescing throughout the inside of that field. So what do you do about it?
Mark it on the map for now, and just we could send a probe.
Yes, probes. A word about probes. The Carson has 250 probes aboard of various types, shapes, and sizes. They're probably one of your understated but most valuable assets because of their versatility. You can leave them parked in orbit. You can land them on planets. They have very capable sensors, and they can be said to act autonomously. Not quite intelligently. They're not AIs, but you can give them fairly complex commands in short order. So yeah, be thinking about your probes. Lots you can do with those. You gave up your photon torpedoes for that. Okay. So what else are you going to do?
Well, keep our sensor sweeps going for anything unusual.
All right. So you approach Plaxton 1, the refinery, and the cat returns. What are you doing, bud? And clock. There's a hail coming in.
Oh, hell.
Okay.
All hail.
From-
Looks like it's coming from the refinery on Plaxton 1.
Okay. What are they needing?
So this gentleman pops up. Sight and Marl. Federation ship. This is the mining operation. Can I speak to whoever's in charge over there?
Possibly. Put him on hold. Captain, you want to talk to a Huberside extractor captain person?
I'm not here. No. I take it.
I could give him life support if you'd like.
He looks like a pirate.
He kind of does, and that's one of the interesting things about him.
Life
He's
support.
got
Sir, how can I help you?
No, send him to tech support.
Have you tried turning it off and back on again? Hey, have we tried turning that
What?
asteroid belt off and back on again? That might help.
We can't find the plug for that thing. What are you talking about?
Hello, thank you for calling their tech support. How may I help you today?
So, Sights and Marl. Fairly severe looking fella. Yeah, it does kind of look like a pirate. Captain, you're glad to see you, but you're running a bit late.
Well, we can only go at the same pace as the slowest ship.
He nods. You know about that. We have to slow down out here. I mean, the pace of what we're trying to accomplish. I know the Federation's all up in arms about getting this Starbase built, but we're going full shifts, all my sites. I actually had 4 injuries last week because people are just getting careless. And yet here you are again, expecting another full load.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but I'm not really in charge of this whole operation. It's the captain of a vessel escorting another vessel here and fro, and I feel for you, but I'm not the one to talk to.
Captain, if someone asks you if you're in charge, you say yes.
I'm not in charge of labor disputes. That's not my job.
Captain,
Well, if you're talking-
I've no authority over how often you can work or not. I can be the liaison and hook you up to the person to talk to. I'm sorry to hear of your troubles and your injuries.
He shakes his head. He says, I had to go through life support and tech support just to talk to you. How in the world am I going to be able to talk to Commodore Manners, who won't even answer my hails?
I kind of just throw my hands up and said, from one captain to another, I'm sure you understand how it is being put in a difficult situation with very limited resources. Understand that you are having issues keeping up with the quota being put forth from the Commodore to get this starbase built. But I'm not the person to make the changes happen. That would be the Commodore. And if you can't reach them through calling, call their second, call their third. I'll send a link up saying there's injuries happening, unsafe work conditions. That's all I can do. I feel for you, but that's as far as I can go.
Well, would you at least come down and see for yourself the conditions that my people are working under? At least you can document it.
I'll send a probe. You got one of these pilotless drones, right? Yeah, we'll send that.
Okay.
I don't leave the chair.
Never leave the boat. Damn right.
Beings from space probing us again.
Holy shit, the aliens are back.
Well,
Stop
if you talk to Neff, they
poking
never
me.
left. They never left.
Stop poking me.
So,
By the way, I wanted to scan of the ship for Klingon life signs.
okay, as you approach, we'll go ahead and get you a bit closer there. You can do that.
Of my ship.
Oh, you're talking about the Carson.
Yeah, we're nowhere near Uranus.
We hear Neff's character going, all shall be clean.
Go ahead. Let it be, let's see, science control.
Prunes everywhere.
Oh,
I've left
wow.
prunes everywhere.
So the 2 means a critical success. I rolled a 1. So you got 3 successes out of that, which is actually what you needed. No. You don't detect any Klingons. You're not. You detect enough life signs to account for everyone on the crew. +1.
Space herpy.
don't mind him. That's just the Temerian we hired to do tech support.
I think he would start grinning madly and go investigate.
You gonna tell anybody, or just wander off?
I keep
I'll just
hearing
wander
someone
off.
plea to be released. What's that about?
So the
Captain, you don't necessarily need to beam down and do the inspection. I mean, it might be a good operation. Send down a couple of security men and a couple of engineers to evaluate the situation.
That's a fair assessment. Make sure you record everything with your tricorders.
so we'll deal with this away team thing first. Who's going? Just crew folks or named folks? How do you want to do that?
I suspect since I brought it up, I'm probably going.
Okay. So that's Erdine, some red shirts from your division, and some engineers from
Lots of people in red.
lots of people in red. Oh, boy, someone's going to die.
Yeah, just go dig you 3 graves over there up on top of that hill.
All right. Is anybody else going on this shindig?
Depends on if it's close to the sign I saw or not.
No, this is on the surface of a planet, far away from the ship.
I don't think Quinn would.
Okay. So let's see. Yeah, we'll do that first.
I just meant if it was in the teleporter room and I happen to be there at the
Where this
time.
power drain is, but if I need to go, I'll go.
Well, yeah, you're busy trying to find deal with this long list of problems with the Carson. So yeah. All right. Here's how that plays out. Let's see here.
Well, Gonzo over there, he looks bored.
I guess it does. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I just it's trying to help a little. There we go. Okay, got it. So, you and your red shirts, along with a couple of engineers, gather in the transporter room. Neff, you begin a mad dash about the ship with your tricorder, trying to find the anomalous life reading. And everybody else stays warm, safe, and secure on the bridge or in engineering, as the case may be.
Can I use the ship sensors to see if I can find what it is?
You're going to help.
One.
Yeah, Neff just wandered off.
We're using that station currently for a betting pool.
So you can call them and say, what are you looking for? What's this cleansing thing about? Why do you have like holy water and stuff like that?
I do so.
Okay, nephew, you get a call from the navigator, your feline friend. What the hell are you doing?
Please leave a message at the beep. I'll get back to you when I'm
Oh, we call that a rat killing.
We are forwarding your call to tech support. Please hold. Your call is important to us.
And there's some poor guy in engineering going, why the hell do you keep forwarding everybody to me? Yeah.
Like I said, we hired a Temerian, so every time they go to tech support, they get Gates, Window Vista released.
Well now it's
Window Vista released.
Well, now it just says, we're sorry, your caller is not in the dialing area.
So
I am going to take a closer listen over to the little asteroid belt over here. I doubt it is, but I'm going to see if I can pull up anything audio coming out of that little area there.
Okay.
Since we're not really doing much else.
Little do you know. So
It was 10 past midnight.
So that'll be security control. And so you gotta find. Let's see what you roll. Okay. And Gonzalez also, science and control. Since there's some interest now in trying to poke at what's going on over there. Okay. You don't pick up audio, but rather you can begin to analyze the waveforms of energy that you're sensing. And what you're seeing are intense, brief spikes of energy. Gonzalez, you kind of recognize those patterns as, explosions.
Space lightning.
They're irregular, but very powerful. And they don't seem to come from the same place twice. Meanwhile, Erdine, you're up there with your guys talking to Chief Tim. Forward to beam down. Off you go. All right. Now the arrangement was they can't beam you direct to the refinery. The whole place is pretty hostile to life. So you need a gas mask. It's not bad enough that you actually need a suit, but they're going to beam you down to a point where a vehicle will wait and pick you up, and then drive you the rest of the way in.
Only our life support guy wasn't running around in circles in the ship.
This is strange. What's going on here?
Life support mostly just takes care of itself. I mean, what's the worst that can happen?
You could die?
Okay,
to
so
anyway,
what's the second
eventually.
worst thing?
Okay, well, that was unusual. We'll worry about that later. So yes, desert planet, discharges of lightning. Actually, it was raining. That overlay didn't quite work out as I'd hoped. And gonna find people. Oh man, let's see. Go here. There you go. You and 4 of your guys beam down there, and I'm just gonna copy paste some of these guys. Yeah, those guys. That'll work. It's hot, sand driven, and raining at the same time. And the rain is acrid. You know, it doesn't hurt, but it's grainy, you know, whenever it hits you. And the vehicle's right there, and you know, the driver's saying, "Come on, get in."
Okay, we get in.
Now once you get in and some of that noise outside settles down a little bit, he says, "I'm Brian. Pleased to meet you guys. Kemp said to come out here and pick you up. You know what you're getting into?"
Just a inspection of what's going on down here. Your captain requested it.
Well, and this is what's off in the distance. You see the part of the ship, you know, that's settled there on the surface. Well, I don't think he could actually tell you the whole story over the comms. I'll try to fill you in as best I can. It's, well, I'll tell you what I think and I'll tell you what he thinks. I think it's the Klingons. He thinks it's just this pace that we're under, overworked and all. But no, the guys are doing their jobs. They know exactly what they're doing. It's just the equipment is failing. Don't know why. Actually had 4 guys that got put in sick bay last week. Nothing they did wrong. They just had a mining laser blow up on them. Kemp won't even look into it. He's too fixated on, you know, getting the quota done.
Well, we'll see what comes up.
As you're bumping along through the terrain towards the refinery there. So, what ship are you from? Like that big cruiser that they said was coming in, or what?
No. We're from the Carson.
The Carson? Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's certainly not the Excalibur.
Well, he shrugs. Doesn't matter. As long as we actually have somebody here that can do something about this stuff. Here. Coming up on one of the outer rigs. Why don't we take a look here and see what you can see?
All right.
So, I'm not going to bother changing maps here. When he says rig, he's referring to this little off-colored area to the right. All the facilities have to be buried. You know, if we leave anything on the surface, it's going to get sandblasted before long or blown away with the lightning. As you can see, the electrical discharge is coming off of the equipment, even so, with it underground. But there should be an access around here not far. So, let me find something for him. No, not undead. Well, it is Halloween, right? You know, that would be very typical.
Captain, we got zombies down here.
Oh no, the transporter just stopped working all of a sudden. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do this guy. Okay, that'll be Brian. So he says, yeah, it should be, marches away from the vehicle a bit. Let me put it here. Yeah, this is it right here. Gotta wipes away a covering of dust to expose a doorway that has been blasted open. Wait a minute. And he steps back from that and says, okay, that ain't right.
Okay, blast it open.
So do a quick security reason roll.
And I don't think I have anything to.
See what you got. Oh yeah, okay. Well, you can't really tell anything from it. The damage is pretty extensive, but you can tell that the sand has blown into the stairs leading down into the facility. Doesn't look like there's been any damage to the hallway inside. But yeah, it's hard to tell how long ago this happened. Anything like that.
All right. Well, I'll get out my phaser and we've got what? 2 security, 2 engineers.
Yep. And this other guy, this Brian fella.
Let's see. Lindsay would be the other security there. Baxter, Chamberlain. What was that guy's name?
Brian.
Bryant.
Yeah.
You stay between me and Lindsay, and I'll take point.
So
And
as
he
you
will
descend into the facility, with you taking point, you don't see. Start with you guys. Move you so that you're inside. These 2 gentlemen work their way up from the sand, look at each other and nod. And that's when, back up here. So, those rolls that you made a little while ago, Gonzalez and Quinn. Since the war, Starfleet has developed some significantly effective countermeasures against Klingon cloaking technology, which you have now employed to discover the presence of that. There is a bird of prey somewhere in the asteroid fields nearby Plakestone 1. And with that, let's pause.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. That's enough of a starter.
Good show, guys.
Yes, thank you very much.
It's going to be an interesting experience.
It's going to be, yeah, I don't think we're equipped to fight one of those.
Oh, it's like a Nikon. You just point and shoot.
Until it shoots back.
Then you run.
This ship does more of a light jog than run.
It is. Well, that is the nice thing about this ship is it's really very easy to operate the weapons. I mean, you're either facing it and you're fighting, or you're facing away from it and you're running. There's really not
kind of lobbing throws over your shoulder.
It's a very binary weapon system, really.
This thing runs like a scalded dog. It's just
the Carson does have the advantage of being pretty much faster than anything that'll get thrown at it here. It is nimble, small, as far as capital ships go. She is small, but she's 1,000 feet long. You know, when in 13 decks, you know, she's easily like 250 feet high. So I think Batman Building, downtown Nashville. It's not a small thing, but nonetheless, in the scale of starships, yes, it is a smaller starship. So, okay, that's where we'll pause it, and we'll.
Did you say
we'll
you're Batman?
You're Batman, damn it! And we'll pick up our 3 threads: the Klingon suspense on the ground, the Klingon suspense in orbit, and Neff's crusade against unknown life forms.
I didn't say I was against them. I'm just looking for them.
Crusade for life forms. How about
There
that?
shall be no unauthorized life forms on my ship.
And that one guy that kept questioning me, which cabin does he live in?
Yeah, you can turn off life support wherever you want, or change the mix a little bit. You know, give him a little bit of helium so he comes out. What? Something's wrong with the atmosphere.
What in the damn hell y'all done to me?
So
Hope he has some heavy blankets. That's all I'm saying.
yeah. You know a guy, you know who puts those blankets in there. You can manage to. It's like, wait a minute, where'd they all go?
Captain, I
All
feel
right,
like our
so-
support officer could be more supportive. I mean, I'm not complaining, I'm not criticizing, but I feel like he could be more supportive of the crew.
I'm Ben. You all be well.
All right.
See, Steve.
See ya.
So, any
And-
questions or nightmares about this system so far? It seems we're rolling with it. Okay,
It's
we just
fairly
haven't.
simple.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to the advanced, quote unquote, advanced stuff yet, but I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah, I still don't, and I don't remember. There's the talents which come in various situations.
Yeah, but that you're going to have to plug those in for me because you're right. They're situational and they have text in the rule book describing what they do and when they apply. And I'm not going to keep
back
track
through
of it.
those.
So
Okay. I figured out what my missing focus was. That was that second infectious disease. That's supposed to be botany.
oh, okay. You and Neff can duke it out over the unauthorized unknown life form then.
Right.
You might want that second infectious disease. I mean, with this crew, the likelihood of there being an infectious disease caught at some point.
Well, I have
Or maybe-
virology too.
So,
So,
what can you tell me
you
about
know.
this flora? So that's Acapulco Gold. That's some badass weed.
It's the only flower you'll see with a phaser. That's right.
Yeah.
So next week is D&D.
Yep. But back to us in the depths of the wherever the hell we are. Tomb of Annihilation. That's right. The tomb of the dead gods. That's right. Who don't seem to be all that dead. I mean, they talk a lot.
Yeah. Seems like they're in your head all the time.
Mm-hmm. They have much to say. All right, good deal. Well, thanks for your patience, everybody. Just
Thank
needed to
you.
kind of get this thing kicked off, and then the plot will thicken as we go.
There we go.
All right.
Sounds like a plan.
Appreciate you running it.
All right. Take care, everybody. Good night.